So I'm looking at Melbourne City. It's like the skyline. I mean, I'm not far away. It's like maybe a kilometre max, so not even half a mile. And I'm walking along the Yarra River, which runs right through the middle of the city. An old sort of brown, disgusting river, but not one you'd swim in. But it's nice walking along the path that's like leading towards Melbourne. And I noticed, because I haven't walked along this path very often, that running over the top of the water is a bridge. And the bridge is not just your average bridge, it's a train bridge. So it's where the trains go in and out of the city, going across the Yarra River. And walking towards the bridge, I noticed there's a set of stairs that walk up along the side, and I'm a bit of a sticky nose, so I decided to explore, and I follow the stairs up. And what's cool is that the stairs go up to a platform, and the platform runs all the way along the train line as it moves in toward the city. And so I'm going for a walk, so I decide to walk along that train line, and I start to see all these railway spikes, and they're on the train line, and there's something about railway spikes, and if you're a amateur blacksmith like I am, then you get the idea. You may already understand that there's something about them, right? And it's interesting because then there's nothing. There should be nothing special about a railway spike. It's like at best, it's like 1030 steel, which is next to mild steel, which means you really can't make any sort of good quality tools out of it. Now, there's a bunch of guys on YouTube that have created beautiful knives and axes and all the rest, but they're not going to harden to the point where they're going to last the test of time and actually hold an edge over any period of time. So they're not great for that. Yet a lot of people get the railway spike to turn it into a knife, and a lot of people buy railway spike knives. And I've also seen people turn them into hatchets and all sorts of things. Now, I'm walking along this bridge, and I want to get my hands on a couple of these things, and they're all along there. But there's a little bit of a railing, and I'm thinking, do I jump the fence or not jump the fence? And then a train flies past. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to jump the fence. But I keep walking along, and I eventually get to a point where there's a gap in the fence. And I just stick my head through, and right there is a railway spike, which I pick up. And that's what I've got right here. Now, it's not a railway spike in any good shape. It's completely knocked around, and you can see it's quite worn. All right, so there's probably not anything nice that I'm even going to be able to create out of this. I mean, I can rework the steel, I can make it into something, but over time I've researched a fair bit about these railway spikes, and it's a bit of a contentious argument. Why does everyone like them so much? Because any professional bladesmith would say they wouldn't be caught dead making anything out of these unless it was maybe a letter opener. They would suggest that you should go down to a steel supplier and get a steel that is going to harden to the right amount. You're going to actually know how to harden and then temper it based on the instructions on the steel. So why do we get so obsessed about these railway spikes? And I was having a bit of a think about it. Why did I go to the trouble of picking it up? And why have I got a whole bunch out over here, which I know that I'm going to make something out of in the future? And at the same time, knowing that it's not tool steel. It's anything I'm going to make out of it is really going to be decorative. Well, I think it's the history. I think that this is part of the reason that a lot of us got into sort of this craft anyway, was that when we realized that we could take something that existed before and we could turn it into something new, right? So this already has history. This already has I guess, a soul, and it's already seen stuff. So you can imagine that this could have spent 100 years on a railway track. I don't know exactly how long, but it was on a railway track, and trains passed over it, like the big heavy wheels of a train crunched over it. Or that it suffered. It was beaten. And on those trains, people and stories and goods and things passed through it. So it was journeys passed through this, all right? So it has an essence in it. And we can now take that essence and we can turn it into something else, which is giving it a new lease on life. I think that's what it's about. That's the romantic notion of the railway spike, because we know that it's not about making anything that's going to be the best performing, whatever it might be, but it's taking something that already has a history, it already has a purpose, it already has a soul, and turning it into something that potentially could live on for generations through our family, and as a family heirloom. It could become a blade, even though it might not hold an edge. It's still a beautiful decorative blade. It could become anything. It's steel. You could shape it out. You could turn it into a bracelet. You could turn it into 3 bracelets. You could turn it into knives, spikes, hooks, furniture. You could take a number of these and actually turn it into furniture. You can take the soul of something that was worked on, beaten, had a life of its own, journeys passed through it. You pick it up and you turn it into something else. And I think that's what's cool about it. And that's what I think I love about this, is that I could go and pick these up for like, I don't know, $2, $3 at some thrift store or swap meet. But for me, it's not even about picking them up at the swap meet. It was the fact that I actually picked this up from a railway track. Don't tell anyone. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to turn it from what it was into something else. So that's my little thought on railway spikes. I understand that they're not useful for anything, but they're useful for me. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in actually me finishing the gas forge, then please subscribe for upcoming videos, because this week I've scheduled in for my high pressure adapter to actually arrive, the high pressure valve. So ideally that will be all I need to complete the burner side of things, and then we'll have dragon's breath in this little garage. And we'll see how noisy that's going to be. So subscribe for further videos, and I'll catch you on the next one.